Zambia, a vast country in southern Africa, is home to one of the continent's most important rivers, the Kafue. Stretching nearly 1,000 miles, the Kafue River snakes through the heart of the country, playing a vital role in the lives of millions. It's more than just a river, it's a lifeline. Over half of Zambia's 20 million people live in the Kafue Basin, relying on its waters for drinking, farming, fishing, and power generation. The river nurtures crops, sustains industries, and fuels hydropower plants that supply electricity to towns and cities. Without the Kafue, life in Zambia would be unimaginable. But now, that lifeline is under threat, contaminated and poisoned. And the source of this disaster? A foreign power that's become increasingly involved in Africa's affairs, China. So, what is China really doing in Zambia? And how did a Chinese-led project turn one of Africa's most important rivers into a toxic wasteland? To answer that, we need to zoom out and look at China's broader role across the African continent. Africa is rich in natural resources, an undisputed geological goldmine. It holds 74% of the world's diamonds, over half of global cobalt and manganese reserves, and nearly all of the Earth's platinum group metals. These are the raw materials powering modern technology, from smartphones to solar panels. As the world races toward a green energy transition, Africa's resources are more valuable than ever. And China knows it. China, with its insatiable appetite for minerals and metals, has become deeply entrenched in Africa's mining sector. Back in 2006, Chinese involvement on the continent was relatively limited. But by 2015, Chinese-backed mining and processing sites numbered in the hundreds, particularly across southern Africa. Their goal? Secure long-term access to critical resources at the lowest cost possible. Take the Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, home to some of the largest cobalt reserves on Earth. China controls 15 of the 17 cobalt mining operations in the country. One standout is the Dezawa copper-cobalt mine, which began operations in early 2020. Its expected yield is staggering, nearly 5 million tons of copper and over 400,000 tons of cobalt. These minerals are essential for electric vehicle batteries, and China has positioned itself as the dominant player. Zimbabwe is another target. In 2025, Chinese companies signed a $270 million deal to develop a lithium project in partnership with Zimbabwe's state-owned Kavimba mining house. That project includes building a concentrator to process 600,000 tons of lithium ore each year. Between 2022 and 2023, Zimbabwe's exports of lithium concentrate to China soared, jumping from 38,000 tons to 177,000 tons in just a few months. Even Namibia, an arid desert country, hasn't escaped China's gaze. Its uranium reserves are now home to the Husab uranium mine, a Chinese-built operation capable of producing nearly 7,000 tons of uranium oxide annually. It's one of the largest uranium mines in the world. The pattern is clear. China is extracting Africa's resources through megaprojects, and it's doing so quickly and aggressively. But speed and scale often come at a cost. Sometimes that cost is the environment, which brings us back to Zambia. Zambia is one of Africa's top copper producers, making it a key interest for China's mining ambitions. Enter Sino Metals, a Chinese-owned company operating in Zambia under the name Sino Metals Lead Zambia. The company is vertically integrated, managing everything from resource development to mineral processing and sales. Its main focus: copper. Unlike traditional mining, Sino Metals uses a hydrometallurgical process to extract copper. It involves stacking copper ore in large heaps and then spraying them with acidic solutions to dissolve the metal. The liquid, rich in copper, is collected, refined, and either exported or sold locally. But this method also generates massive quantities of toxic waste, containing acids, heavy metals, and dangerous dissolved solids. To manage this, Sino Metals built a tailings reservoir, a dam-like structure designed to store the acidic sludge safely, but that safety proved to be an illusion. On February 18, 2025, disaster struck. The containment reservoir failed, and the dam collapsed. Over 13 million gallons of acidic waste surged out, flowing directly into the Kafue River. The results were immediate and horrifying. Within hours, reports emerged of fish dying en masse, floating lifelessly along the riverbanks. 60 miles downstream, the ecosystem collapsed. Birds that once hovered above the water disappeared. Some likely fled. Others may have died from exposure to the toxins. That stretch of the river, once teeming with life, turned into a lifeless, acidic stream. But the damage wasn't limited to nature. It struck at the heart of Zambia's population. Over 10 million people depend on the Kafue River. It's their source of drinking water, irrigation for their crops, and energy for their homes. In cities like Kitwe, home to 700,000 residents, the water supply was shut off entirely. The capital city, Lusaka, now faces the looming threat of a water shortage as well. The impact ripples far beyond what's visible. Zambia's agriculture is now at risk. Crops can't grow with acidic water. Fisheries have collapsed. Industries that depend on water for processing may have to shut down temporarily or permanently if clean water can't be sourced. And it doesn't stop there. The Kafue River helps recharge underground aquifers. These underground reservoirs provide water to areas far from the river itself. If the contaminants from the acid spill seep into these aquifers, the consequences could affect parts of the country that don't even rely directly on the Kafue. Groundwater contamination would mean that even deep wells, once thought to be safe, could carry toxic chemicals for years to come. So how did the Zambian government respond? As soon as the scale of the disaster became clear, the country's air force was mobilized. Helicopters dropped hundreds of tons of lime into the river in an emergency effort to neutralize the acid. Boats were sent up and down the river, coordinating the response and assessing damage. Sinometals responded too, at least publicly. A company representative met with government officials and issued a formal apology. They promised to cover all cleanup costs and pledged to do everything possible to restore the damaged environment. But for the people who rely on the river, apologies don't mean much when the water is no longer safe to drink. And this isn't Zambia's first water crisis. Even before the acid spill, access to clean water was a major issue. In 2020, a study revealed that 75% of stored household water in Zambia was contaminated with E. coli. This led to widespread health issues, especially among children, who suffered from diarrhea, poor nutrient absorption, and stunted growth. Many struggled in school due to persistent illnesses. So while the Kafue disaster is a new chapter, it's part of a much deeper crisis. And the saddest part? Incidents like this were avoidable. Environmental regulations could have been stronger. Monitoring systems could have detected early warning signs of a dam failure. But in the race to extract valuable resources, corners are often cut, and environmental safeguards are treated as optional rather than essential. So what happens now? Zambia is left to clean up the mess. Even if Sinometals pays for the response, the damage to ecosystems, communities, and public trust is harder to repair. And China? It will continue its operations across Africa, expanding into new mines, processing plants, and infrastructure projects. There's no denying that investment is needed in Africa. Roads, energy, and employment are essential for development. But when that investment comes at the cost of poisoned rivers and destroyed livelihoods, one has to ask, who's really benefiting? The tragedy of the Kafue River should be a wake-up call, not just for Zambia, but for the entire continent.